She married a mafia boss, but this transformative secret will leave you incredible insight. Rebecca sat at her desk, cluttered with colorful worksheets and faded textbooks, staring blankly at the stack of essays waiting to be graded. The laughter of her fifth graders echoed in the hallway, children whose dreams she was determined to nurture. But behind the warmth of her smile lay a chilling reality. She was married to Giovanni, a man entwined in a world she dared not fully comprehend. What would they think if they knew? The stares from colleagues felt like knives, whispers wrapped in concern and judgment as they questioned her decisions. Her heartbeat quickened. Loyal or foolish? That was her constant internal dilemma. In the classroom, she preached the power of education to change lives, yet the reality of her marriage clawed at her credibility. The facade of contentment felt like a masquerade, every mask holding her true self at bay, her dreams silenced by the very love that once inspired her. Was devotion worth this torment? As the sun dipped behind the horizon, casting long shadows over her modest New Jersey home, Rebecca rifled through her late grandmother's belongings, seeking a sense of connection. Tucked away, she discovered an old journal, its pages filled with her grandmother's thoughts on resilience and entrepreneurial spirit. Memories flooded her mind, igniting a flicker of hope amidst the shadows of doubt that loomed over her marriage. Could she truly make a difference, or would Giovanni's world suffocate that spark? Before we continue, I need to tell you about something important that's happening. YouTube has been making changes to the system, and many people are losing notifications from channels they follow. If you're enjoying the content, click the bell and mark all notifications so you don't miss the next videos. And if you can leave a like, it really helps with reach. Seriously, it makes a difference. Oh, tell me in the comments where you're watching from. I'm always curious to know who's on the other side of the screen. Now let's continue. Determined not to let fear consume her, Rebecca began introducing community-focused projects at her school, infusing her classroom with discussions on justice and equality. Each day, as she engaged her students, the pulsating anxiety in her chest throbbed stronger, reminding her of Giovanni's seedy connections that could ripple through her newfound ambitions. Her determination felt like a tightrope walk, the looming thread of his world ever present, edging closer with each step she took away from it. Then came the grant opportunity to support the very youth she aimed to uplift, a lifeline. But at what cost? The realization hit her like a punch to the gut. Giovanni's reaction would be fierce, a betrayal in his eyes that she couldn't bear to witness. The weight of unfulfilled aspirations pressed on her lungs, each breath an unease in her chest, a war igniting within. She could feel Giovanni's control tightening, a reminder of the loyalty she had sworn to uphold. As the town meeting approached, Rebecca faced a decision that threatened to shatter the fragile balance she had constructed. Would she step into the light of truth and betray the very man she loved, or cling to the shadows of silence that cloaked her in fear? The room was alive with expectation as faces turned toward her, leaving her suspended in a moment where vulnerability collided with strength. With her grandmother's lessons swirling within, she stood at a crossroads, a tightness gripping her throat. The tension was palpable, and Rebecca could almost hear the crackling of her own heartbeat echoing the unspoken conflict. It was now or never. Would she unveil her plans for the grant, risking everything? Or would she buckle under the pressure and retreat back to the cage of loyalty? A tremor of desperation coursed through her, leaving a singular question hovering in the air. How long could she remain true to herself while living a lie? The answer loomed, tantalizingly out of reach, leaving her on the brink of transformation. The anticipation weighed heavily in the air as Rebecca felt the scrutinizing gazes of her colleagues. For an instant, time stood still, while clarity washed over her. This was her moment. The unyielding nagging had driven her to the edge, thawing the icy grip of loyalty that Giovanni had held around her heart. She inhaled deeply, her fingers trembling slightly as she opened her mouth to speak. But no words formed. Instead, her consciousness echoed with her grandmother's wisdom, reminding her of the power of intention. Just then, the principal, a stern but fair woman named Lydia, glanced at Rebecca, those piercing eyes studying her intently. Lydia wasn't just any administrator. She was a beacon of change in an outdated system. "Rebecca," she prompted gently, almost expectantly. The room fell silent, and Rebecca's heartbeat surged as clarity struck like a lightning bolt. Offered a chance to advocate for her students' futures, she had to seize it. Just momentarily, the image of Giovanni's disapproving face faded into gray, overshadowed by the vibrant aspirations of her students. She raised her chin, filling her gaze with the conviction she had been trying to reclaim. "I propose we apply for the grant to fund a program that will provide mentorship and educational resources for our children," she began, her voice steady yet soft enough to show her vulnerability. With each word, she felt her confidence grow like a budding flower breaking through the cold ground. These kids deserve more than fate can offer them. They deserve the tools to shape their destinies. As she spoke, whispers ignited around the room, glances exchanged, and Rebecca's heart raced with both fear and exhilaration. The tension in her stomach twisted, but the fear was now intermingled with determination. This was it, the line she pivoted over, a decision to live authentically, to inspire, and most importantly, to challenge herself beyond the confines of Giovanni's world. However, not everyone was supportive. A colleague named Carla squinted contemptuously, arms crossed defiantly as she interrupted. "But Rebecca, you're willing to jeopardize your personal life for a few kids? How does that make sense?" Rebecca met Carla's confrontation head-on, the fight igniting behind her eyes. "To stand still is to let our dreams suffocate. I'm not asking for permission. I'm demanding that we elevate our students together." The room buzzed again, the words sparking discussions amongst colleagues, some nodding in agreement, while others remained skeptical. The stakes had never been higher, and with every passing moment, the specter of Giovanni grew fainter. Until that day, weakness had clung to her like a shroud. Now she felt an unfamiliar strength coursing through her veins, a sense of purpose knitting her resolve tighter. Still, dread loomed. Could she persist if Giovanni's wrath unleashed fury upon her advocacy? Uncertainty remained, guiding the pace of her heart. As the meeting progressed and plans began to take shape, excitement danced through her. Yet, Rebecca was painfully aware that this was only the beginning. Every decision henceforth would draw multiple lines across the landscape of her life, many of which might lead her back to Giovanni in ways that would reduce her burgeoning aspirations to ash. When the meeting finally adjourned, Rebecca stepped outside, the cool air invigorating her senses. Her phone buzzed insistently in her pocket, a message from Giovanni. Heart racing, she forced herself to breathe slowly. The sound of her breathing faded into the background as she contemplated the moment of truth she was about to face. What would he say? And more importantly, how would she respond? With the potential for her world to explode or expand right in her grasp, one thing was clear. The silent battle within her had ignited into a war that demanded resolution, one where every choice mattered. With the sun setting on the horizon and a storm brewing inside her, she knew she would have to confront Giovanni sooner rather than later. But once she stepped into that realm, would she find the empowerment she craved or the shackles she feared? As the message chimed again, a deep sense of anxiety mingled with exhilaration. The time had come to face the consequences of her awakening. Rebecca stared at her phone, the screen lighting up her face with Giovanni's name blinking back at her from the notification. The excitement of the meeting felt like a distant memory, overshadowed by the weight of the looming conversation. With a mixture of dread and resolve, she swiped the message open. His words were terse, asking her to meet at their usual coffee shop, a place that had once felt cozy and familiar, now tainted by the uncertainties that flickered in her mind. Could she step through the door with bravery, or would she retreat into the shadows of the past? As she walked, each step was a conflict between the woman she was becoming and the identity he'd shaped around her. She could already hear her heartbeat, the rhythm of her life twisting like a bitter vine, choking her newfound aspirations. Trepidation coursed through her, mingling with the adrenaline that still buzzed from her impassioned speech. The coffee shop welcomed her with the familiar scent of roasted beans and distant chatter, yet it felt alien. Alone among the tables filled with laughter, Rebecca found Giovanni in the corner, casual as ever, his presence as commanding as the first day they met. He flashed a smile that once melted her heart, but now sent a cascade of unease through her. "Hey, there you are," he said, drawing her in with an ease that made vulnerability feel like an old coat she wasn't ready to wear. "I was wondering how the meeting went." "It went well," Rebecca replied, firmly anchoring her words, feeling the pieces of her confidence snapping into place. "I proposed a mentorship program for our students." His brows furrowed, and for a moment she saw the flicker of something she feared, disdain or disappointment. "You're still chasing this project?" he questioned, his tone strangely dismissive. "Yes, Giovanni, I am. These kids need someone to fight for them. I'm ready to be that person," she declared, emboldened rather than breaking under the weight of his scrutiny. The statement echoed louder than she intended, reverberating both internally and externally, grounding her in her own commitment. "Oh, come on, you know how difficult it is to bring change in this place," he retorted, his voice cool and steady. "You're still young, Rebecca. You don't need to worry your pretty little head over these things." A simmering anger flared in her chest. This was not the supportive partner she vowed to remain loyal to. This was the voice of the past trying to coddle her into submission. She could almost hear the whispers of her colleagues, the encouragement building within her, a siren's call echoing against the walls Giovanni had built around her. "Maybe that's the problem," she shot back, the words propelled by newfound strength. "I've let myself be defined by the expectations of others, including yours. I am not just a teacher. I am their advocate. I want to be better, for them and for myself." The moment hung between them, thick with tension, the air crackling as his expression darkened. The realization struck her. In this confrontation lay a pivotal choice, the opportunity to reshape not only her relationship, but who she was evolving into. Giovanni's eyes narrowed as he leaned in, the aloof demeanor vanishing like smoke. "These aspirations of yours won't come without consequences, Rebecca. You know that." For the first time, her heart raced not from fear, but from the possibility of a bold, unwavering future. It was a thin line, but standing on it felt like a new beginning. "Then let the consequences come," she said, pushing back against the tide of uncertainty. "I refuse to surrender my dreams for anyone, not even for you." His silence weighed heavily, and she could sense that something had changed, shifted in the air. The stakes at this moment now significantly higher than before. With every beat of her heart, she recognized a new reality settling into place. This was her life, and she would dictate how it unraveled. In that charged silence, she felt an unexpected liberation surge through her. The balance between fear and empowerment painted vivid possibilities, each one layered with its own risks. Still, she knew she would need to navigate those waters carefully to avoid the undertow of her past choices. As she gathered her thoughts, a daunting question loomed. Would Giovanni truly let her go this time? Or would he fight to pull her back into the safety of his world, the very world that had almost stifled her growth? The air felt electric with potential, a crucial moment stretching out as they locked eyes across the table. With determination pooling within her, Rebecca realized she stood at the brink of unveiling the real challenge. How much of her old life was she willing to sacrifice for the greatness she was finally learning to grasp? The atmosphere in the coffee shop lingered, thick with the unsaid, as Rebecca sensed Giovanni's attempt to regain control over the conversation. It was a tactic she had often faced before, the calculated silences, the wavering gaze, as if he were sizing up how much of her resolve had begun to crack under pressure. "Rebecca," he started slowly, as if tasting her name could summon the affection he'd once held for her. "You're talking about ideals, but this is reality. Idealism won't pay the bills or protect you from disappointment." The room felt smaller, the familiar corners now hostile. Giovanni's words slithered into her mind, chipping away at the foundation she was desperately trying to build. Yet something within her stirred, drawing strength from the flickers of doubt. In that moment, sharp clarity pierced through her apprehension. What if his doubts were reflections of his own insecurities? Perhaps he was just a character in her journey, not the author of her narrative. "I understand your view," she countered, her voice steady but edged with defiance. "But maybe what you see as idealism is actually a much-needed change. I've spent too long conforming to what others think I should be. This isn't just about the program. It's about personal growth and carving my identity." She watched Giovanni's reaction closely, searching for any sign of understanding, but finding only resistance. Beneath his stillness lay a storm. He leaned back, crossing his arms, as if to shield himself from a truth he wasn't ready to face. "Do you really want to risk everything?" he questioned sharply, his facade wavering. "You're not ready for the backlash from those who hold power here, and you know it." "I'm ready for what comes next," Rebecca asserted, defiance coursing through her. "Being ready doesn't mean I'll be free from consequences. It means I'll confront them head on." As the words left her mouth, Rebecca felt lighter, as if admitting her truth had dispelled the heavy darkness that slammed against her willpower. Each breath she took filled her with a fierce urgency to solidify the change she envisioned. This urge transformed into a kernel of ambition that refused to be snuffed out. She could rise despite the thrall of history attempting to drag her back. It was liberating and terrifying all at once. "For too long, your version of partnership came with conditions, Giovanni," she added, her voice low but steady. "You've held me tightly in a narrative I never wrote for myself. Today, it changes." A flicker of anger flashed across his face, a brief slip in his idealistic, charmingly poised facade. "You think you can just walk away from this? From us?" The question hung in the air like smoke, showcasing the common fear that sought to persuade her that leaving was synonymous with loneliness. In that moment, Rebecca confronted the stark truth of her choice. It would not just be a matter of moving on. She was dismantling an identity that had been imposed upon her. "If this is what us means, then I have to walk away." The finality of her statement echoed in their silence, a palpable tension hanging in the air. In the wake of her words, Rebecca saw the shift beyond Giovanni's irritation. There was an undercurrent of despair threaded through his questioning eyes. A part of her felt for him, but another part knew that empathy could not excuse the layers of control he wielded over her. As she stood to leave, the confines of the shop seemed to fade away, revealing the Herculean path ahead. Outside, the world waited, unpredictable, yet brimming with potential, hers to seize if only she had the courage to step into it fully. Then, the reality of a future without Giovanni settled in, and with it came a chilling realization. Her next steps would be joined with both vulnerability and empowerment. There was no going back now. She had chosen to embrace the unknown. With her heart racing, Rebecca took a deep breath, filling her lungs with the crisp air. Each heartbeat propelled her forward. She was on the precipice of something vast and transformative, and the stakes had never felt higher. And yet, deep down, a troubling question loomed. Was she truly prepared for the repercussions of breaking free? As she caught her reflection in the shop window, determination mingled with doubt. Who would she become in a world that longed to redefine her? The sound of her heels clicking against the pavement created a rhythm, each step echoing with newfound purpose. The cool breeze nipped at her cheeks, awakening a sense of clarity she had long sought but never fully embraced. Rebecca craved change, yet the fragments of her life still felt tethered to Giovanni's shadow. As she navigated the unfamiliar streets, she began to internalize her choice. It wasn't merely about leaving him behind, but truly stepping into her own narrative. Her day unfolded in a blur of activity, but Rebecca was relentless in her resolve. She found herself at a community center, drawn by the idea of exploring local programs that could align with her passion for social change. This was more than just a search for a new direction. It was an opportunity to reconnect with her purpose, to rediscover the woman she had shelved for so long. "Can I help you with something?" A warm voice interrupted her thoughts. Rebecca looked up to see Marissa, a vibrant woman in her 30s with an infectious energy that radiated through the small office. "I'm interested in your outreach programs," Rebecca replied, her voice steadier than she felt. "I want to start getting involved in the community." Marissa studied her for a moment, sensing the hesitation layered beneath Rebecca's strong facade. "It's great to see someone so eager, but it can be tough, you know. People can be resistant, especially when you want to bring change." Rebecca nodded, holding Marissa's gaze. "I understand that, but what I see as resistance could be an invitation for dialogue. I want to learn, grow, and teach others to do the same." The resolve in her tone softened the air around them. Marissa smiled, a twinkle in her eye. "That's the spirit. Why don't you attend the next meeting? You can see how we brainstorm ideas and engage with the local community." Rebecca felt a sense of adventure begin to bubble within her. It wasn't merely about attending a meeting. It was about stepping into a space where her thoughts could morph into action, a fundamental piece of the identity she was slowly reconstructing. As they discussed the details, Rebecca's mind drifted to Giovanni's warnings, but she quickly dismissed them. Here, in this meeting, was where she could find allies who believed in the potential for change. No longer would she be the passive participant in her life, waiting for permission to act. Later that night, Rebecca stood in front of her mirror, reapplying her lipstick in preparation for the gathering. Flicking strands of hair behind her ear, she examined the woman staring back at her. A spark ignited. She wasn't the same Rebecca from the coffee shop confrontation. In her heart, however, the fear of backlash still loomed large. What if these communities didn't accept her ideas? Or worse, what if Giovanni's influence reached out to disrupt her budding aspirations? These questions loomed like shadows at the edge of her resolve. But as she tucked away her doubts, hybrid emotions of vulnerability and power began to intertwine within her. She had faced Giovanni's disapproval and had emerged standing tall in her truth. Now, nothing could take that away. The gathering was small, the laughter and conversation in the room pulsing with excitement. Different voices converged, creating a mosaic of ideas that felt electric. Rebecca absorbed everything, feeling empowered by the shared commitment to initiate changes within the community. Just as she began to feel comfortable, an image flashed in her mind. A reminder of Giovanni's disdain for anything outside his controlled narrative. Would he take notice? Would he try to interrupt her blossoming network? As she engaged with potential allies, the seed of resolve began to deepen, nudging her to counter not just Giovanni, but the voice of self-doubt echoing in her mind. With every conversation she participated in, Rebecca graphed her newfound strength against fears, aware that she was navigating uncharted territory yet again. This was the crucible of transformation, and she would face it with her head held high. But the true test loomed ominously on the horizon. Would Giovanni retaliate, and would her new relationships withstand the stress of that battle? The anticipation sent her pulse racing. The question became one of not just confrontations, but of who she would ultimately prove herself to be. As she left the gathering, Rebecca felt an undeniable thrill. She was becoming more than just the sum of her past mistakes. The time had come to learn how to claim her own power and embrace what lay ahead. Consequences be damned. The days that followed were filled with exhilarating uncertainty. Rebecca's thoughts were a tapestry of emotions woven with newfound ambitions and remnants of fear. Each morning, she awoke with a crimson sunrise illuminating her resolve, and with every passing hour, she ventured further along her chosen path. She'd return to the community meeting, often pitching ideas and engaging in discussions, her confidence swelling with each positive exchange. Yet Giovanni's specter loomed large. His influence hung in the air like a thick fog. With each small victory Rebecca achieved, the internal battle escalated. The closer she drew to solidifying her place in this new world, the more pervasive her anxieties resurfaced. She couldn't escape the feeling that at any moment Giovanni's shadow could cast itself across her newfound landscape. This dichotomy ignited Rebecca's inner drive. She found herself scrutinizing her past, realizing how much Giovanni had defined her existence. Action became her ally. She sought out local workshops on leadership and conflict resolution. Each session felt like chiseling away pieces of the past, reshaping her narrative in a way that felt genuine, strong, and undeniably her own. During one workshop, she met Lars, a charismatic and insightful coach who possessed an infectious passion for empowering others. His unpretentious approach invited Rebecca to articulate her ambitions fearlessly. "What drives you?" he asked one day, his gaze steady. For the first time, she felt unanchored, free to explore her desires without the weight of external validations. She responded, "I want to be a catalyst for change, a voice for those who feel they cannot speak." Those words hung in the air, simmering with a bold truth she had long buried. As the weeks rolled on, her connection with Lars deepened, not just professionally but personally. They shared grounded conversations, infused with laughter and moments of vulnerability. It was as though he unearthed layers of Rebecca that had laid dormant for years. A realization glimmered within her. She was capable of both strength and tenderness. However, just as she began to flourish, a prick of unease punctured her budding immersion. A shared social media post featuring her at a community event had evidently reached Giovanni. Within hours, her phone rang relentlessly. The familiar jarring ring reverberated with memories of disapproval. Ignoring the calls felt like constraining a wild animal. She could ignore the lion growling in the shadows, but she knew it could spring forth at any moment. Rebecca weighed her options. She could either confront him, risk his fury, or maintain the silence she'd practiced since their early days. Unacceptable. The realization struck her that avoiding confrontation would only grant him more power over her life. She took a deep breath, filling her lungs with a sense of clarity, a reminder that she had the strength to face the very entity she had once feared. "What if I choose to speak my truth?" she mused during a quiet moment. This realization ignited a spark deep within her soul, urging her to resist the complacency of fear. At her next meeting with Lars, this tumultuous thought unraveled. She announced her decision to call Giovanni, to address the storm descending upon her life. With every word, she asserted her independence. She would no longer hide in the shadows. "Something has shifted within you," Lars remarked, pride etched across his features. It was an affirmation, a boost that propelled her to visualize the potential of her confrontation. Still, an unsettling uncertainty flickered in her chest. Would Giovanni lash out? Could he dismantle everything she had painstakingly built? Doubt rode close with determination. The battle between her past and her present was mounting towards its inevitable confrontation. As she stood alone in her living room, the weight of her choice settled on her shoulders. Determined, she reached for her phone, her thumb hovering over Giovanni's number like a loaded ticket to an unknown destination. The moment of truth was fast approaching. Would she emerge as her liberated self, or would Giovanni's darkness consume her again? As she steadied her breath, Rebecca's mind raced through a myriad of outcomes. Giovanni's number loomed ominously on her screen, a lifeline to the past and a tether to the present entangled with guilt and trepidation. Each possible scenario unfurled like a film reel in her mind, his fury piercing the air with accusations, or perhaps a cold silence that would suffocate her newfound voice. She clenched her fist, the resolve grounding her wavering courage. This was more than just a phone call. It was a pivotal moment in her journey of self-affirmation. No longer would she dwell in the shadows of manipulation or play the role of the submissive partner. She had devoted too many years to appease him, and the prospect of returning to that life was nothing short of suffocating. Yet a flicker of doubt continued to dance at the edges of her thoughts, whispering warnings of Giovanni's tendencies. His power had always been tangible, dangerously intoxicating. Rebecca's thumb finally pressed the call button, each ring heightening the awareness of her heartbeat thundering in her chest. With every chime, she replayed her intentions, meticulously rehearsing the words that would mark her boundary. When Giovanni's voice broke through, rich with annoyance, she took a moment. "This isn't some casual chat, Rebecca. You have a lot of nerve," he commenced, and she could almost picture his familiar, threatening smirk. "Hi, Giovanni." She forced her tone to remain steady, unleashing the confidence Lars had nurtured within her. "I think we need to talk, properly." His laughter, though low and incredulous, simmered with frustration. "Talk? Since when did you think you could dictate the conversations?" "I'm not dictating anything. I'm just asserting myself, finally. This isn't how I want to live anymore." Her words flowed, emboldened by her passion to reclaim her narrative. The silence that followed felt interminable, each second stretching under the weight of uncertainty. Rebecca could feel the tension coursing through the line, an electric charge that threatened immediate retribution. Finally, Giovanni spoke, his tone icy and disaffectionate. "You have to understand that this changes everything." And in that moment, a part of Rebecca recognized the truth. It had already changed everything. She had spent too long waiting for approval, shackled by fear and the shadow of his tyranny. Now the weight of that history began to feel like a burden she could release. "Maybe that's the point," she countered, her voice a whisper yet steady. "I am standing up for myself. I won't be invisible anymore." Giovanni's voice shifted. The menace underlined crumbled into confusion interlaced with anger. "You think you can just walk away? You have no idea who you're dealing with, Rebecca." "I know exactly who I'm dealing with," she asserted, every word flowing with newfound courage. "And I won't let you control me anymore." With every syllable, Rebecca felt the final threads of Giovanni's grasp loosen around her heart. The confrontation felt like a tapestry unraveling, each frayed end revealing glimpses of strength she never fully recognized before. Yet the relief was interlaced with the fear of repercussions. What new heights of rage would Giovanni reach now? Would he retaliate in a way that would threaten everything she had built? As she ended the call, a swirl of emotions flooded her: relief, exhilaration, and a lingering dread that stoked the fires of her determination. One battle had been fought, But a war remained simmering beneath the surface, waiting for the inevitable escalation. However, she knew one thing was certain. She could no longer be an unwitting pawn in Giovanni's game. The universe had shifted ever so slightly in her favor, allowing her to grasp her destiny. But as she stared at her phone, the twilight of uncertainty cascading around her resolve, another thought gripped her. What other dark secrets had Giovanni kept hidden? What other revelations lingered within his world that could threaten her budding independence? Rebecca felt the stirrings of a new resolve, that uncovering the truth would be her next formidable step. Rebecca stood alone in her dimly lit apartment, the weight of the call still heavy in the air. Her heart raced not only from the confrontation with Giovanni, but also from the realization of what lay ahead. Empowerment came with its own tremors, a balance between exhilaration and anxiety that felt utterly foreign yet liberating. She could no longer afford to dwell in uncertainty. Her independence now demanded action. The echo of Giovanni's words ricocheted in her head. "You have no idea who you're dealing with." Rebecca had often felt overshadowed, lost in the confines of his expectations. But now a flame of determination sparked within her. She resolved to face whatever consequences lay ahead, starting with gathering information about Giovanni's hidden operations. With a steadying breath, she picked up her laptop and began her research. Every finger tap against the keyboard was a defiance against the past that had bound her. She was no longer the passive figure retreating into the background. She was stepping into the light, and with it came the need for clarity. She searched for records, news articles, anything that could shed light on Giovanni's dealings, his business empire shrouded in whispers and veiled threats. As the minutes ticked by, she distilled the information gleaned. Reports of dubious financial transactions, connections to unsavory characters, even whispers of criminal activity. The puzzle pieces began to fit together, painting a portrait of a man she had scarcely known, despite years spent by his side. She noted each name, every murky affiliation, piecing together a timeline that could serve as both a weapon and a shield. But Rebecca found herself caught in an unexpected emotional war. As she unearthed details about Giovanni's connections, her heart swelled with a mixture of anger and sorrow. How could she have been so blind? Yet, beneath the layers of betrayal, a stronger current surged, one of resilience and awareness. With every revelation, she embraced her role as the author of her story, recognizing that her past was a chapter, not the entire narrative. It wasn't just about self-defense anymore. It was about reclaiming her agency, understanding the implications of her husband's criminal ties, and preparing for an exit that was no longer just about physical escape, but about mental liberation as well. She could no longer allow fear or loyalty to dictate her choices. That night, she let sleep elude her, tossing and turning, her mind a whirlpool of considerations. The truth was raw. Giovanni had not only taken from her the years of her life, but he had also taken away her voice. No more. She vowed that this newfound knowledge would bolster her strength, a shield against the oncoming storm. But as dawn broke, revealing the stark reality of her situation, an unsettling thought crept in. If she was piecing together Giovanni's criminal life, what would he dig up about her? Would he impulsively retaliate, or would he use her past against her? A sliver of anxiety struck her as she refocused on her objectives. The culmination of her efforts would demand not just courage, but wisdom. She needed allies yet to be identified, strategies deeper than mere confrontation. As she prepared her next steps, her phone buzzed again, a message from Lars illuminating the screen. "Are you okay? I sensed something was off after your call." Perhaps it was time to reach out to him for guidance, to seek not just friendship, but actionable support in unveiling the depths of Giovanni's world. Clarity was within her grasp, but now she needed help to fortify herself against unique threats. With a deep breath, she drafted a response. She couldn't navigate this journey alone any longer. The integration of trust alongside her desire to reclaim her voice would be the foundation of her fight. But as she hit send, a chill coursed through her, a thought that persisted like a shadow. What if revealing her past meant exposing herself to deeper dangers than Giovanni? The moment felt heavy, charged with potential. What truths about herself and her life would she have to confront next? The battle was only beginning, and the consequences could be monumental. As she awaited Lars's reply, a twinge of dread coiled in her stomach. The unknown was vast, and she could feel it drawing closer. The silence in her apartment seemed deafening as Rebecca stared at her phone, willing Lars to reply. What was she even going to say to him? She'd spent years concealing her true self behind a veil of normalcy crafted by layers of pretense and dependency. Now, she felt like a chess piece that had recently learned to move strategically, but the direction was still unclear. A glance around the darkened room mirrored her turmoil. Shadows seemed to flicker with the frightful specters of her past. With a surge of resolve, she set the phone down and donned her determination like armor. Each click of the keyboard wouldn't just be a step forward in gathering intelligence on Giovanni. It was her way of reclaiming what had been lost. She needed to own her choices. She needed to embrace the truth, however discomforting. She opened a new tab and focused on compiling a list of potential allies. Lars was a good start, but who else would stand in her corner if things went sideways? She recalled a handful of colleagues from her old job, a few women in her network. They had often shared jokes over coffee breaks, but in the quiet moments, they exchanged aspirations born from their experiences in a male-dominated workplace. In moments of shared vulnerability, they had confided their dreams, fears, and those intimate details they often tucked away. It was worth reaching out to them. They would understand what it meant to be trapped beneath someone else's shadow, and perhaps together they could find a light on Giovanni's darkness. With renewed vigor, she began typing out emails. Each word she crafted was suffused with that delicious sense of empowerment, like stepping into a pair of shoes that fit perfectly. She explained her situation, albeit carefully, to ensure they understood its gravity. She included snippets of her research, planting seeds of urgency and truth in her letters. After hitting send, she felt strangely liberated. Perhaps what she feared was less about unraveling Giovanni's web of deceit and more about opening up parts of herself she had long abandoned. Who was she beyond being a wife, and more importantly, who did she want to become? The moment felt transformative. Yet a nagging doubt gnawed at her. Would they believe her? Would they see the truth of the situation, or would they question her credibility, tarnished by years of silence under Giovanni's influence? As she processed these concerns, her phone finally buzzed. Lars had replied with a simple, "I'm here for you. Meet me at the coffee shop midway." Relief washed over her, blending with a flurry of anticipation. A public space felt right, a neutral ground where they could converse without the shadow of Giovanni looming. Still, the interior of her mind echoed with questions. What if the walls of Giovanni's world closed in around them? How would they find the courage to address the reality of her situation openly? Rebecca got dressed with a mix of eagerness and dread. As she slipped on her shoes, she gazed in the mirror, caught in a moment of introspection. Who stared back with eyes filled with determination was a stark contrast to the woman she once was. Finally, she was ready to not just face the truth, but to confront the man who had manipulated her life. She left her apartment intent on learning to reclaim herself with each passing moment. The door clicked shut behind her, and she felt a rush of courage surge within her, empowered by countless risks she was finally prepared to take. The cooler air outside was refreshing as it filled her lungs, sharpening her focus. She could still hear Giovanni's taunts, but now they had taken on a new form. Not chains holding her back, but challenges to confront. As she walked to the coffee shop, thoughts of strategizing with Lars intertwined with the growing uncertainty of what lines they might cross together. Would he provide the guidance she needed, or would he instead expose risks she hadn't even considered? Just as the shop came into view, her phone vibrated once more. A text alert from an unknown number flashed across the screen, and her heart raced. "I know what you're doing, Rebecca." What had she unleashed? The stakes had never been higher, and the shadows of her life now followed her into the light. The unexpected message sent a jolt through Rebecca, her heartbeat quickening with a mix of fear and determination. Could Giovanni have already discovered her plans? Panic threatened to bubble, but Rebecca clenched her fists, channeling the energy into resolve rather than retreat. She wouldn't allow fear to determine to her next steps any longer. Determined to maintain her focus, she tucked her phone away and entered the cafe. Lars was already seated at a small table near the window, his unmistakable smile illuminating the cloudy day outside. He waved her over, his presence a comforting anchor amidst the chaos swirling in her mind. "Hey, are you all right?" he asked, genuine concern etching his brow as she took a seat. "I'm processing a lot," she replied, her voice steady despite the tempest inside. "I received a cryptic message just before coming here. I think someone's aware of my plans." Lars leaned in, his expression shifting from concern to focus. "That's a lot to handle, but remember, you're not alone in this. Let's figure out what your next move should be." Rebecca explained the depth of Giovanni's control, the secrets she was uncovering, and the faces of her colleagues she intended to reach out to. Each word she spoke seemed to unshackle another piece of her burden, allowing the air between them to grow lighter. "That's fantastic, Rebecca. Your willingness to confront this is a huge step," Lars affirmed. "But we'll need to strategize. If Giovanni is aware of your movements, he'll likely react. You need a plan. We have to anticipate his responses." His pragmatic approach instilled confidence. Rebecca took a deep breath, the tightness in her throat loosening as she reaffirmed her intention. "I can't continue living under his shadow. I'm ready to expose his operations to protect myself and advocate for change." "Good. We'll create a network, the allies you need." "You have enemies, but you also have friends," Lars pointed out. "Let's formulate how you want to present this information." They spent hours brainstorming, drafting an approach that would involve showcasing Giovanni's connections while prioritizing her safety and the safety of those around her. The more they plotted, the more empowered Rebecca felt. She could envision a future where she no longer had to hide. After returning home, clear-headed yet still on edge, Rebecca decided to confront the message head-on. What had taken residence within her mind was no longer a question of fleeing, but mastering what was hers. She was a teacher, an advocate. This was her calling. She resolved to reach out to the colleagues she had previously mentioned, setting up meetings in neutral venues. Each conversation would build toward creating a coalition of allies. She knew that the risks were high, but she also realized that taking control of her narrative was even more vital. Days turned into weeks, and these meetings bore fruit. Rebecca not only shared her vision, but cultivated a supportive network eager to help bring change. Together, they meticulously examined Giovanni's connections, piecing together information that could expose his nefarious dealings, while also fostering genuine community projects to uplift the youth they served. Lars stood by her side, helping her navigate through moments of self-doubt. "You're leading this change, and it's important to let that feeling resonate," he encouraged. It all came to a head when she finally presented a cohesive proposal during a larger community meeting. The stakes were higher than before, with familiar faces watching intently, participants and stakeholders eager to witness her advocacy. With every word, she felt invigorated. The clenching dread she had once associated with Giovanni transformed into a powerful drive to disrupt the status quo. "I stand before you not just as a teacher, but as a voice for those who felt silenced," she began, drawing in every eager listener. "We need to challenge the narratives that hold us captive. Together, we can reshape the futures of our children." Cheers erupted within the room, and for the first time, Rebecca understood complete empowerment. She demonstrated the change she wished to see, no longer a mere participant, but an architect of her destiny. However, as momentum gathered against Giovanni's looming shadow, Rebecca remained acutely aware of the stakes involved. There would be retaliation. She just needed to be ready. The next week was filled with anticipation and nerves, but on the day of the community rally to unveil her program, confidence surged through her veins. She had inspired her colleagues and bolstered support. As the event commenced, she felt tethered to the very community and dreams she had fought so hard for. As the event concluded, the air buzzed with excitement and resolve, a transformative energy that coursed from those around her back into her. But that's when her phone rang again, a message notification from Giovanni, each ping a reminder that the past wouldn't fade quietly. Join the fight. The war may be brewing, but she was ready. Rebecca had conquered not just her fear of the unknown, but had cemented her role as an advocate. She had redefined her narrative, transforming it into a powerful story of resilience and empowerment. With the community beside her, she anxiously awaited the next chapter, reinforcing her path as the author of her life. And with that, Rebecca had succeeded in crafting not just a support network, but the life she wanted to lead. She would face her past and the consequences head-on, stepping fully into the bright, unwavering future she had rightfully earned. You need to subscribe now to the channel to not miss the next exclusive emotional stories. This is the moment to show your support by leaving a like now to feed the algorithm. Comment your reactions and theories about Rebecca's triumph. Share instantly this video with 5 friends who need to see this conclusion. Don't wait even one more second to share.